Away we go. Hey, how's it, everybody? This is Michael Julian with Live It Stoked Mind Waves, and One Vlogcast podcast. Welcome to One, blessings. And where the whole focus is to provide positive content, enriching content, creative content for folks out there to improve better physical, mental, and what I call inner spiritual well-being. And today I'm absolutely stoked, honored, and blessed to have a new friend, Kevin Graham, come on the vlogcast. He was very interested in the project, and we connected online as musicians and artists. And so I'm incredibly stoked that he said yes to wanting to do this, as he is an incredible human being and has an amazing story to tell. Kevin is the founder of Rolling Nectar, his band, who has opened for many national touring acts. In a previous conversation, we were getting ready to set up this interview. He let me know that he's performed with members of FOGHAT, members of Ted Nugent's band, guys who rolled in the Joe Perry Project. He's also been a fan favorite of the Boston Red Sox for 4 years running, as the band plays pregame shows before the Red Sox games. And, was actually stoked some time ago to watch him singing the national anthem for the Red Sox. That was pretty cool. He's also worked with Berklee professor Matt Ellard, who has worked with MotorHead and Queen in terms of remastering, engineering, and mixed their debut EP. And Kevin has also worked with Benny Grotto, who produced tunes and material for Aerosmith. He's been a vocalist and guitarist and a songwriter. Has been performing for 20 years. He's Boston born and raised, and one of the coolest hippy dippy trippy hippies I've met in a long time in New England, and a beautiful soul. So without further ado, Kevin, how you doing, brother?
Nicely done, Mikey, nicely done. I'm doing great. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Graceful, my brother. You are graceful.
Well, many blessings, dude. I'm really stoked to have you on, and it made me feel really good that you were about the premise of One and what I'm trying to do, just in terms of providing content for people to keep us in the good, keep us on the good foot in terms of, physical, mental, and inner spiritual, but, especially the mental aspects of things, as the intensity levels just climbing, out of reach right now in terms of COVID and what's going on with the global economy. And so that was really the purpose. And I was just so excited when you said you dug the project and you wanted to get on board. So bless and thank you, man.
Yeah, it's an honor. You can never have enough of this. You can never have enough of what you're doing. The world is a cruel and unforgiving globe, and we're on this rock for a short period of time. I think it's just very important that this work proceeds, and can never have enough of it. So I am truly grateful to be a part of it.
Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And I'm in total, complete agreement with you at 100%. I mean, we've got to reach out to one another as human beings, and right now it's so obvious that there were so many things that were dividing us as human beings. And, I tend to take a more positive outlook and try to put positive outreach out there to people, that even though we are in the most critical stages, of just life as humans on this planet. I mean, this is unprecedented. We've never gone through anything like this before. If you look at all of history, that the bottom line is nothing is going to change, and we're not going to buy any more time for each other on this planet unless we start to really unite as a global community in terms of positive thinking, positive power to, buy us more time on this little rock we call our neighborhood. I always refer to the globe as this little tiny neighborhood, which is what it is. And it's so obvious right now, is it not?
We're just a speck in the big old universe. And while we're here, when, we're born into this life, we each have the power of choice. Not everyone chooses the same things. This is a material plane. You're in here, you choose what you eat, you choose who your friends are, you choose what you want to pursue with passion and interest. And not everyone chooses the same, but having an open mind and expanding your mind and just understanding that, well, that's cool. You chose bass guitar, I choose the drums. And because they're different, doesn't mean we're separate and doesn't mean we're enemies. You choose to live in the desert. I choose to live in the mountains. Doesn't mean they're bad people. And that's the thing. It's minute and it's also big as far as this term is on earth here. But yeah, I think just spreading love and appreciation and just understanding and being passive and letting people choose to whatever they want. It's their life. So, just having these chats and having good influences and inspiration and just keep spreading it and trying to evolve as a unit. One.
Absolutely, man. I love the analogy of music, right? You can definitely
music.
Being in bands, it's like, think about all the things that we have to overcome in terms of keeping relationships alive in a band.
I called it a chemistry project. You get these people in a room and it's magnesium, zinc, and iron, and sometimes it don't match. You got different interests. Some people like country, jazz, and they're not wrong for liking country. You're not wrong for liking jazz. It's just it's your choice. So it's just whatever you want.
Right.
It's a buffet. You know.
So it's pretty apparent. We need to get it together. We need to do it quickly. And global warming is a big thing in my focus, based on the fact that I look at it like you can take all the extraneous bullshit, and you can argue and flex your opinion and talk about that stuff and build a sense of worry about all these things that really don't matter. I mean, the bottom line is, we don't start building some ice, we're not going to have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's all about action, and people can get things done. Look at what we've accomplished already as the human race, and when it's a team, it's powerful, and the numbers are powerful, and we can fast if we want to. It's a matter of, I think, getting on the same page. That's just my own personal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Some people think it's not real. Some people think it's real, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But I'm always a cat of right and wrong. What's right, and if this is hurting it and it's backed up and it's just kind of obvious, it's not good, then something should be done about that.
Right.
Kind of black or white, simple.
Yeah, man. Right on.
Try and simplify things in my life to try and I've had some really great influences, and one thing that was always said to me is make good decisions, and you kind of get into a habit of choosing and being choosy because you want to make a good decision, and because that every choice sometimes puts you on a different trajectory. It could be as simple as running a red light or a stop sign, if you will, not stopping fully, and you get T-boned. Little decisions, make good decisions. I think that is just so important. Just if where you want to go, you want to live under a bridge and it doesn't matter and it is what it is, well, that's fine. Again, it's your life. You can do whatever you want.
Right. But even in that moment, I mean, it really doesn't matter what that decision is. One thing you said yesterday on our phone call, which I loved, which is just so important, to reinforce, is that, time is precious.
Yeah.
An individual human's time on this rock is, getting to be more of a precious situation as the days tick by and fade away. So,
you hold by a silk string.
That's exactly right. Well, listen, brother, yesterday when we were talking, I was really, really enjoying, we were exchanging, our surnames and our blood and our makeup as human beings, the mutts that we are, and just in terms of how we were created and what the elements were, what the origins were in terms of
origin story,
countries and stuff like that. Tell everybody watching this vlogcast, like, some of the stuff you were talking to me about yesterday, like your composite, your makeup is.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You mentioned some really great things about your family, which the viewers may have heard before. My family, we kind of bonded with that. It is derived of Scottish, Irish, French, and Native American. Native Americans migrating north, the Irish migrating north, and then also my family coming to Nova Scotia, New Scotland, and that's where a lot of my background is derived from. Wampanoag and Micmac were two of the tribes. My grandfather's mother was a bootlegger, and if you were to see pictures, very Native American attributes with high cheekbones and dark complexions. Picture of my sister.
I can see it in you. I can see it.
Oh, interesting. The lineage goes down, the percentage goes less. Like my great aunts were really close to the percentage where they get the tax break, Native American percentage tax percentage, which I am nowhere near. So it goes down. I think I would have more Scottish features or Irish, not sure. But it was pretty cool to hear that. My grandmother was a child of 14. They all played and sang music. Come from a really big Arcadian French. It's not like out of France. It's an Arcadian French, which I'm not sure on a historic level what comprises that.
I'm pretty sure if I know my my facts here, or I'll make a guess here too, an educated one, but I think it was based on all of the criminals. A lot of that had to do with Canada. When France actually was in Canada, there was that huge migration where, one, they were looking for work, and two, there were a lot of folks that were under the cusp in some way, or it was based on the fact that they were sent to the South in the United States. And that's the origin of all of that language that they speak. That is Creole.
Forward French.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I always loved the music background and love history and love the Native American percentage that it was kind of laced within my family, which I always thought was really cool.
Right on. I've always been fascinated with indigenous people. I mean, I have been my entire life. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona in the 70s when it was still the Old West, and had friends who were Native American Indians. I mean, I went to school with a guy named Cody Lee, who is Apache Indian. His father is a chief on council in Yuma, Arizona. It doesn't get more real than that.
Yeah.
I had some friends who were Hopi Indians,
God bless them. Yeah. Such an advanced culture that didn't get the respect they deserved, what they understood about the land, what they understood about just vibration, and very in tune. Culture.
I'm really stoked that you're talking about this now, because a lot of this has so much to do with, you got a little background noise happening today, you got landscape.
That's all good.
We'll compete. But just the idea, of, there's so much division in the globe right now, with so much opinion, secular behavior, racism in the United States off the hook. This new data that's coming out about what's happening in the States is absolutely alarming. We thought it was bad in the late 50s and early 60s, man. It looks like that stuff looks small in comparison right now. So in terms of what you're talking about and what we're sharing in terms of ethnicity is a beautiful message to send, I think. And I hope it inspires and changes points of view that, hey, remember, we are all one. Very difficult to meet people who are of pure one blood in this planet, who are the majority. We've all intersected each other's lives genomically in some way. So I think that's the whole point, is to send a message that, hey, before you get too flappy with your lips about your opinions and what you think you are, remember, there's probably something inside of you that links you to another credo, another race, another people. It's at one given time. There's something percolating in your blood that makes you one on this planet.
There's so much allegory. There's so much symbolism for us to see. That at this point, if you don't want to realize it, it's just your own choosing that you want to live confined. And that's okay. Again, it's your life. You're welcome to live confined. But for the betterment of everyone, it is in our best interest to try and be harmonious. But it's a really tough thing when you have governments regulating, when you have certain levels and all the separation that makes it complex. It makes it stressful. It makes it when you're in the heart of the jungle to try and get out of the nasty and nitty gritty. I grew up in a basement at my grandmother's house. You know what I mean? Single mom. Father was present, though. He's a great man. Love my father. But with the separation, stuff like that. I mean, it's no one's story is a Cinderella story. I don't think really, you could be bred with a silver spoon, but maybe the stress of the silver spoon and not getting any love or affection or attention that way. We all endure. Agony is always lurking, and I'm a firm believer of that. It's what we choose to do with it, and what we choose. It's always a choice. And it's complex. It's a very complex category as far as trying to be united in a group. But it's like, well, the people eating caviar ain't gonna know the people eating spam in fucking, because we can afford ramen and they can afford caviar. The one with the 80 Corolla. I drove a fucking 80s Honda Civic with the flip-up lights. Well, the person that was bred and when they reached 16, they had a Bentley. That's different, and that segregation, it's hard to understand on an empathetic level. But educating and constantly educating, which is why I support what you're doing, and just trying to educate each other. That even the guy with the Bentley still suffers some form of way.
Absolutely, man. You can't get away from the human. This is the whole thing. I mean, the preoccupation of money. Let's face it, it's beautiful when you have it, but if you're mentally attached at all times to that is your status, that is your position, that is that you view it as a separative mark in terms of your relation to other human beings.
Now you're disconnecting.
Exactly. I mean, your misery is going to come on you quick, and that misery is equal to any human being. Like, it's all of a sudden what you have is meaningless.
Right.
Our breath is our breath, and the way your pains are your pains, physical, emotional, or otherwise. And
I agree.
That's an equalizer. That's one thing I was saying to Fabian yesterday when we were doing our interview for one. It doesn't matter if you're the poorest person on the planet or you're in the 1% club. This thing has equalized us. It has shut our lives down in many, many ways and forced us to communicate in a way that is unprecedented. So that's really the whole focus of this thing, is to maximize that, to see that as an opportunity and not as a division. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's hard when you have people, and they said it a long time ago, that money is the root of all evil. It can bring great happiness, but momentarily, like, it's just a moment of happiness. It's instant gratification, where pure happiness that derives deep within inside you, gratefulness. Sometimes people don't gain that until they go through something traumatic, have a spiritual experience, some form. My experience getting thrown out of my car at 30 miles an hour, waking up in a hospital, which was really mind-boggling. Lucky to be alive. Crushed this muscle completely, had to reteach myself muscle memory with the guitar, and fractured the lower disc in my back. Both ribs were busted. So stuff like that was like, wow, I was given a chance, apparently. And what was really weird, the shirt I was wearing was the shirt I wore to my grandfather's funeral when I was in that accident. And my grandfather was someone very near and dear to my heart. Grew up in his house. He was, kind of like the father figure in the house. Again, father was still present and an awesome man. Love my pops. But it was that, we had our own bond. You know what I mean? You create your bonds with people as you go through your life. And we had our bond. So yeah, it was, an interesting experience. Me and you were riffing yesterday about those experiences, because you too was given a choice to, persevere and, kind of make time with the time you have and try and just serve, because that's what we're here to do, is just serve. So
I like that analogy. That's fantastic, dude. That's exactly right. Well, I mean, it was heavy, and it was heavy like it was for you. Remember when you were completely immobile after that?
Oh, yeah.
It was the most humbling experience to be, put through something that is that heavy or near death, to realize what you need to do to overcome, and relaxing the mind is the only way to truly heal, and I had such a fire. I was in such denial about what had happened to me when I fell, and after the surgeries, I mean, here I am, with the neck brace on and plasty on my chest, and I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. People have heard this, over and over and over in content that I've created, but the most important reason I bring it up is, right now there are folks who have never been through anything close to what you and I have been through physically, in terms of a comeback, in terms of truly healing and finding our true purpose. And, their minds are discombobulated, and that frontal lobe is just constantly pounding, and, their health is failing. Mental health is not stable. And, so that's really the main message I wanted to share with you. And that's something that fascinated me about you and was new to me, obviously, on a first greeting, was, wow, you overcame so much physically, emotionally, and mentally to get where you are too. So that's just magic to me. I mean, that affected your playing. I mean, you couldn't do anything for quite some time, right?
Oh, that was a tear factory starter right there. I went to pick up the guitar after relearning how to walk a little bit, because you have to kind of, you get out of a hospital bed. I remember trying to walk. I'm like, oh shit, I done fucked myself. And then, picking up the guitar for the first time. And when I was 18, I was lucky enough to compete in the Guitar King of the Blues. And I made it to the finals. And so I went to celebrate, and that night, wrong place, wrong time, ended up out of my car in that whole scenario. So I went into the King of the Blues really kind of trying to make a name, and then had to go into the finals. And there was a lot of time in between that, and I had to rebuild. And I don't think I was as strong as I was, but I rebuilt it. And it was really cool because as the muscle was reforming, it was actually reforming more to the guitar. So I felt like I almost gained the strength, having to kind of rebuild, because I knew what to do. I educated myself. I spent a lot of time with a Berklee alum. He is a published guitarist by the name of Jeff Wyman. Classical. I spent many years with him. I love Jeff. He showed me Cream, rock and roll, fucking at the age of 11 years old. Jimmy Page. I owe that to Jeff, really opening my mind up to rock and roll and stuff. That was Jeff. But anyways, I had to rebuild. So I went to the finals, and where I met none other than Tomo Fujita, who is a Berklee professor. People know him as the guitar teacher for John Mayer, and which was really cool. After the group played, it was me and Tomo Fujita to win.
That's insane, dude. Like, at the end of the thing, you're competing literally against Tomo.
With a friggin' professor right now, who is a master. And
truly a master.
I lost, which a great loss. I'm so happy to lose to him. And it was even happier to reconnect with him at a live show when I was playing with the guys, David Hall from Joe Perry, John Butcher, all the, some local New Englanders that have done some things. And he comes off stage, and I had a minute to talk with him, and he remembered me from that, because we talked after. He's, you have great potential. Keep working, and he is such a gracious human being about working, selfless, and still at a professor, and he's still learning. And that humble, you have to try and replicate it in your own way, because he's setting the lines. And I think great leadership is important for us all as something as, as simple as a guitar teacher who is your leader, setting the example. It depends what type of.
Absolutely.
We're setting examples for one another.
Well, that's one thing we were talking about yesterday, right? That, and I kind of knew this, that, Tomo's a lover. He has such a loving approach and such a mellow approach. And I'm somebody who's been studying Buddhism for a long time, and that's kind of how I try to live my life, or just the 6 practices of the Paramita,
Yeah.
When I talk about inner spiritual well-being on this podcast and in my content, I'm definitely not coming at anybody from a truly spiritual perspective saying do this or do this, or don't. But I mean inner human, your spirit as a human, whoever you are, well-being, are you well in terms of your spirit? And I really do wonder, if Tomo is a practitioner of Buddhism, because just his whole vibe and everything else, it really feels like that might be.
He's definitely a humane, unconditionally loving human being. So it would be interesting to find that out. I think it's so important to try and come at life with conviction and passion and try and find what makes you tick.
I love that story so much, man. I can just kind of see it happening, that like after the fact, he's probably like, "Oh, Kevin, you're a ripper."
You have potential. And I'm like, well, you're the fucking bee's knees. And I'm 18 and I wanted to go to Berklee. It's an expensive school, and that was not happening. Even with some of the scholarships that I did and was able to obtain, it was not in the cards. Also, to the price tag for when you get out, even with if you don't have a full ride, it's. I know people that are 50 years old and they just got done paying for it.
Yeah, so, it's astronomically expensive. I had a friend from California, a kid that I met in Huntington Beach years and years ago when I used to live in Laguna, and we met at a party. We were asked to play. We kind of got thrown together to play. We totally enjoyed each other's company. We dug each other, and that was that. And then I ended up moving to New England, and ironically enough, he was going to Berklee in Boston. So I was there hanging out with them, not too frequently, but a few times. And man, after hanging with him and finding out what the ticket was, economically speaking, the price tag of this thing, I was just like, wow, man, we were so lucky your dad's loaded.
You come from money, you got options. I think that's what is frustrating for people is you got money, you got options.
Absolutely. I think that was the only downside to anything that I've ever known about Berklee is that, their outreach to people to give scholarships and give it away more often is far too small. That's my only criticism about Berklee.
Yeah, money is, unfortunately that important and that makes life stressful and frustrating.
Absolutely. Especially if you've got the talent to excel at that level so fast. I mean, you are the reason that institution exists. So some of that is conflicting for me. But.
Yeah, thank you. It's really an opportunity to be able to just have your health, and you wake up and you're able to have things within your own means and things that you earn on your your own blood, sweat, tears. The computer I have in front of me, the guitars I'm surrounded by, I'm lucky enough to have, I earned it. They're mine. It wasn't given. And then you just keep chugging forward. And whether 2 people notice you, one person I was lucky enough when you talked about singing the national anthem, which was one of my biggest opportunities, which was 35,000 people, singing Fenway Stadium.
That's so cool.
That to me was just such a dream come true. And it's, that, was such kerosene, because now I'm like, I want that all the time.
Of course.
But it's beyond the clapping for me. It's I love stadiums because you have thousands of people cheering together, in booing. But like when you get clapping together, especially for like a national anthem, you got 2 people that like different teams, but they're clapping for the national anthem, so they're together.
Man, there you go. There's that message again. Immediately everybody becomes one. It's this massive field of electricity and energy, and everybody kind of unites.
Clap so loud that you can hear it from blocks away. And
Right.
this energy. And that's why I want it so much, because that just the vibration of everyone clapping together. I'm just like goosebumps from head to toe. So
Right.
it's really extraordinary experience. But even as small as I've played dive bars, and that too is awesome. And it really all revolves around the connection of people and people coming together and just having a good time. It happened in the 70s. I'm sure it will happen again, because I just don't think in our nature is hate. I think there's love somewhere. It's there.
It
How
is, it
stressed?
is abundant, and it is
Yeah,
here. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast. And I see a lot of other people out there doing their projects, and they're kind of focused on the same. All we have to do is
yeah,
relax and use this digital medium as a way to actually connect as human beings, to
yeah.
foster that thought process. When you get locked up in your home based on a pandemic, it's really easy to let your mind run away with itself, and you're feeling isolated, and all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you're starting to say things that just aren't the truth. That everything in total is dying, love is dead. Whoa, 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 whoa. Back up the truck. It's not quite like that. As long as we communicate and we know that that frequency is there, perspective changes, man, and we can make a difference. We can make an impact.
I agree. Yeah, this platform really allows that. There's some real good, honest positivity that can come from being able to be connected so quickly and to such large audiences. And it's there. There's really great, opportunities and just things going on. Like, you go on YouTube and there's meditation, and they're adding meditation to schools now because they're seeing the benefits, and you can't run from that. It's there.
And
It's
it's
just
become necessity. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. It's
yeah.
so heavy for children right now to go through this, man. I can't imagine
Very
what it
unfortunate.
would be like
Yeah.
to be a small grom or a child right now to go through this. It's just heavy duty
The
stuff,
isolation or having to say goodbye to a parent is just an absolute
right?
uh, atrocity. Is
Absolutely.
a way to put it. But yeah, there's still it's still a lot of good things coming to fruition as far as platforms like this, and music being created, and just people connecting. It's unfortunate that have still division with presidential and politics, which I never really enjoyed because of how it separates. It's not like, what's the goal? All right, what do we need to do for everyone? It's like, no, I like red, I like blue. And it's like, well, they still got to do a job. What's the job? Let's talk about the job.
Right.
I don't even really like to talk about politics, just because it's just not my bag.
Nor mine.
Yeah, no mas for me. You asked me how to string a guitar, and what's the tuning, and what's G chord and D and C.
Yeah, let's stay there, man. I'm glad you took the subject. Like, in terms of guitars, I really do have to admit that I am, well, I hate, I never like to look into the field of energy of envy, but man, do you have some beautiful, beautiful ladies in the toys in the box. Talk to us about some of your guitars, man. Like, every time I see you on social media, there's another one, and I know instruments. I worked for Parker Guitars as a composite engineer.
Oh, I love Parker guitars. Nice.
Yeah, man. I worked for Larry Fishman and Ken Parker, and I helped build like the first 2,180 instruments, and we were still doing customs. Like, we came out of the NAMM show, we got slammed with 9,000 orders, and we were kind of like, oh shit, now what do we do?
That's awesome.
But just based on knowing guitars and being in love with guitars my whole life, like, every time I see you, I'm like, ooh, ooh.
I want myself to go, ooh. I can't have enough. I just, it's a passion. It's a love. I love old guitars because the years of vibrating. There is something, and I believe that's one of the big pieces on why price goes up with the guitars, on top of age, and it's a 63. I think I always was drawn to that. I've been called an old soul back when I was playing with Charlie Hunt and Joey Madari from FOGHAT. We did a couple of shows, and I was telling you the story. Joe's looking at Charlie and looks over. He's like, Kevin's a fucking old soul. Because I'm sitting with some older guys, and I played with Jeff Levine, who's the music director for Hall & Oates, and Joe Cocker. Played with a lot of just unbelievable, people from Wings, and just these unbelievable influences. And Jeff too, he's like, you were born in the wrong decade. He's like, you should have been born in the 60s, because he's just drawn to it. But my number one is a 1968 345. Which is, I was so lucky to find this. I got a good buddy over at Guitar Center that happened to reach out to me, and he's like, I got a little surprise for you. It hasn't been posted, but this guitar's price went down. It got dropped in Hollywood. So someone dropped it, cracked it, and it got repaired, right. Which that's the repair. They did a really great job. I mean, this is super solid. This is a second stamp. So this is out of Michigan, Kalamazoo, which has the original pickups and stuff. And it's a second stamp, meaning there's imperfections, which I really love. So some of the red paint leaked into the binding. There's also, right here along the board, there's a bit of a lip here, so that didn't come flush. So it was not. It did not meet standards. It did not meet it. So they second stamped it, which they priced them a little bit cheaper, which to me only made me love it more, because now it's kind of like a little bit of a one of a kind type of feel to it. It plays really great. The neck's a little on the thin side, but it's still really cool axe. And it's a still stereo. I got a custom cable made out of Boston, Bay State. AJ, who's awesome, Bay State vintage, is awesome. He made a custom cable so I can still use the baritone knob.
AJ's he's like a legendary cat in Boston, right?
Yeah, Bay State. I mean, they sold guitars to Joe Bonamassa. Yeah. I mean, a lot of they have some. They have a '56 Flying V. It's on Reverb. And it's like $300,000. So yeah, another one is I'm trying to get a 63. Speaking of 63, I'm trying to get a.
Yeah, you told me this is the pursuit right now. Is the 63?
The 63 Strat is something I dream about. I would love to get it. This is a 91 Strat. This was one of my first guitars, and I was lucky enough I got that for like $300. My mom, which is a huge supporter, amongst my family and stuff, they really support me. But I'm lucky enough, she also got me a Les Paul, which was a buddy of mine sold me this Les Paul for a really good price. It's just a 2001, just a good solid piece. My other one that's a vintage.
Love the tremolo on that. Show the
tremolo is out of speaking of French, it's France. You can get them on eBay, but it's Duesenberg, which Duesenberg guitars are.
Oh, it is Duesenberg. Okay.
But it replaces your bridge here, and it now you got like a Bigsby whammy, which I would love that, to have the Bigsby or to have the vibrato. The Maestro vibrato bar, but it just worked out super cost efficient and super easy to install. So that one was an easy one. Another one I put that whammy bar on is this 91 Firebird, which my buddy who has the 63 Strat, and I'm trying. This is an amazing friend of mine. His name's Gino Cara. And he's just such an amazing soul, a yogi, nonetheless. But he sold me this, and I
love Firebirds. Firebirds are rad.
I had one, and it was like a 2013. I got it out of Mr. Music in Alston, who them too. They've sold guitars to Bruce Springsteen, Joe Bonamassa, Scott Holiday of Rival Sons. I had a Firebird and I got rid of it, and because I never liked the banjo tuners, the stock, and it broke. And what really made me like this, because I originally was gonna buy a Strat from Gino because he had a Richie Blackmore signature one that he put a little TLC into, and they're like, Mexican made, Strats still good, it doesn't have to be American made or whatever, but he put a little work into that, but then he took this out and it had the tuning knobs, which these are the Steinberger. They are discontinued.
Right.
Steinberger, I believe, was bought out by Kluson because they were making one hell of a tuning knob. And these are the Steinberger tuning knobs, gearless tuning knobs, and you put them on the Firebirds. It balances the weight ratio.
Sure.
On top,
sure, because you're going heavy up top now with the tuner, so it helps probably.
So it balances it out, makes it super efficient for tuning. And this is the old school, sunburst, or not sunburst, but just grain. Yeah, that was really cool. I'm trying to get Gino's 63 at some point in my life, but that's a steeper. My last one, since I got it right here, is an 88 SG, which those guitars too. I just, Angus Young and just all the great SG players and stuff,
I love SGs, and I haven't ever owned one. I bought one for my daughter years and years ago. I bought her, the new issue stuff that they were making, a Goddess.
Yeah.
And fell in love with the thing. And then, I'm also a huge fan of Gary Clark Jr. And
oh, yeah.
He was playing a show that I was with my family at the time. We were in Newburyport, and it was Mark Broussard and like a 10-piece band, and then Gary's band. Like, this afternoon did not suck. it was
that's
incredible.
Crazy.
And then like after the show, it's tiny little venue. I don't know if you played in there, but it's just right in the harbor there. And
okay.
Gary's standing there, and their fans coming up and kind of mauling him about signing and stuff like that. And everybody parsed away, and my daughter says, Dad, my nickname is Poods to her. She was like, Poods, what do you think? And I said, well, let's just leave him alone for a little bit. You know what I mean? It's all about whether he decides to connect with us. We don't do fan. She was like, right. And so we just I went to the beer tent. I got a beer. We walked back, and people kind of went away, and there he was, and he was by himself. And I just looked over, and it did, immediately click. And he kind of went, and I went, hey man. And he goes like this. And I went, it's cool. And he goes, yeah, sure. And we started to talk, and that was one of the things that during the conversation, we talked about a lot of cool stuff, but I was absolutely stoked on the SG that he was playing that day, because it was just silver,
Right. Yeah, he's a phenomenal player. I love this particularly because I keep it tuned, and I wanted to give a shout out to Jack Pearson, who's a phenomenal guitar player, and he was playing a Flying V. He's played Dwayne's SG and stuff like that, but he's playing it in C-sharp tuning. So I did that just.
When you say Dwayne, do you mean Allman?
Yeah, he was playing Dwayne's SG, Dwayne Allman's SG.
Wow.
And,
very cool.
And then it's Jack Pearson's just a phenomenal guitar player. But he was playing before that. He was playing I think maybe like a 60s or 50s, I don't know, Flying V, Carina Flying V, and he played it with the C-sharp tuning of Albert King. I guess did C-sharp tuning. And it's a really deep, and he was able to do these bends that.
Beautiful. Do me a favor, man. Do me a favor. Put your chair back a little bit so we can see it. Play us a little something.
It makes it, that tuning just makes it buttery.
Absolutely,
And
it does.
I did a post on my Instagram, KJ Instagram, GRAHAM like the cracker. And I did a post and I gave a little shout out to Jack, and Jack started following me on Instagram because he is just an unbelievable human being and super gracious and nice and kind. I was really flattered that he started following me. But yeah, he did that tuning. Check out C-sharp tuning, tune the whole guitar down, and just get some toast for the butter. Buttery.
I will definitely do that. It's something I have not done. I will check it out.
It really, I mean, it's always important to inspire, because, and it's not about me inspiring. It's just, finding that out. When I found that out, it just can trigger a new song. And you never know what that song can flourish into,
Absolutely, man. I've been doing that for years and years and years. Like when I get static and standard, trying a tuning, it's wild. There's, there are 100,000 new songs in there. So it's like,
well, it's
and I do that in the morning sometimes intentionally just to warm up, just to wake up, is immediately put the guitar in another tuning. Like just immediately, it's like doing yoga or something, you know what I mean? It's part of the process to get ready to play. And I might just go right back to standard or go back to another tuning, but it's magical. Like there's a real magic in there.
Yeah, it really stimulates. And for all you know, you could be writing the next Bubba O'Reilly,
Right.
You don't know what, it depends, I guess, how, developed you are as a songwriter, but something even as simple as just someone who likes to just play pentatonic scales or, as, simple chords or whatever. It's still just stimulating, and it's still just a fun thing to do in a good old time. So that's what it's all about. Having a good old time while we're here. So yeah, I'm lucky enough and fortunate enough that, all these guitars that I'm surrounded by, I am obsessed anyways, and I happily spent my money on that. So I was lucky enough to do that. But,
right on. As musicians, I know a lot of other people find it really weird that we would literally almost, at times would pass up a meal in order to have gear.
Yeah,
but it's the truth. It's how we roll. It's what we do. So, there's nothing more important than that, for me.
Yeah. It's passion, some people like 5 snowboards. Well, that's their passion.
Right.
Right. I love guitars,
So, well, what? I wanted to ask you a question too before we close and wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
I've been leading into a lot of interviews in the beginning to grow this channel. Hopefully we'll get, a subscriber audience out there and have a lot of fun lining people up, and the one thing I really wanted to know, based on the fact that I chose the word one for the Vlogcast podcast and the project, which is, what does that word mean to you as a human being? And in light of where you stand as a human being in the circumstances we are in terms of the globe right now. What's one mean to you, man?
Yeah, it can be a beautiful word, because it can just mean everyone together, unity, and that just, to me, I spent some time thinking about that. What's one? One, and what I would like it, what I really want for that is a collected group and everyone working together as one. And that to me is the biggest meaning that comes to mind when I hear one. And I think that could be kind of cliche on my behalf to kind of bring that to the table, but it was like, well, one, it's not alone. We're not alone. You don't even have to be in the same room. I got a guy across the street. We're together. We're under the sun.
Right.
So one, under the sun.
Right. One, brother. I love that. One under the sun. I have to put that in somehow. That's cool.
Right. No. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you asking me that.
Very cool. Well, listen, man, I am so blessed that you decided to do this. I am absolutely grateful and blessed for our connection. You're a beautiful human being, and you are
Thanks.
definitely an old soul. There is no doubt about that. Like for some reason, I can just hear like an old bluesman looking at you, you know, going, you know, you were born in the wrong era, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're the only one that they could use the word cracker, you know, at and to have it not be offensive. You know what I mean? You're a beautiful little graham cracker, but you got an old soul.
Wonder bread, yeah.
Well, dude, you know, I'm fucking blessed about this, and we have to do more episodes. I definitely want to have you play, and maybe at some point we can figure out a way to capture some really good audio and video at the same time of you playing. Next time with your boys, like, let's figure that out. You know, if you're in the studio and you're getting together and going into town or whatever, man,
Of course.
love that. That'd be incredible for the audience, the viewers that want to check this thing out and want to stay connected to you. You know?
Yeah, we anyone that wants to follow along, again, my Instagram is KJ Instagram GRAHAM, but Rolling Nectar official, Rolling Nectar on Facebook. We do got a debut EP coming out. We're very excited about that. It's a 6-song EP produced by Matt Ellard. A big shout out to Matt Ellard, who co-produced. He did the mixing. Matt remastered Queen's. Like Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's epic, man. Wow. This is the guy who's mastering or mixing up your EP?
He mixed our EP. He's a Berklee professor. I'm lucky enough, my drummer, or the drummer for Rolling Nectar, Reed Silverstein, was gracious enough to have studied under him and spoke with him and was able to bring him on to the project. Reed is a partner in Rolling Nectar, along with Fred Leary, bass player. And it's a power trio, just bringing some power love and power, you know, old school vibes, and just trying to just keep it moving forward. Rolling Nectar, and just
Rolling
this
Nectar, right on.
flow of love, power, voltage, and rock and roll. And so yeah, you can follow us, and that should be coming out 2021. We were sidetracked because of COVID, but we're still pushing forward, and we got a lot of good things coming along. Big shout out for Benny Grotto for producing it over at Mad Oak Studios in Alston. Yeah, Benny had spent some time. He did some production for Aerosmith, and I ended up using a vintage AC30 on this record that was played by Ronnie Wood.
Wow, man, you pull all the wowies all the time. That's what I call wowee. Wow.
I was absolutely honored to amplifier. It was screaming. We had it on fucking 11. Everything is massive on this record. It was very well professionally done, and the mastering over at New Alliance in Somerville. So great team. Success is a collaboration, and two successful because it was done by so much great people. So whether 2 people enjoy it, 1 person enjoy it, or it's only us, we're just happy that we were able to lay down this material that is expressing so much good intention.
Excellent, man. Excellent. And you said you sent me the record, yeah?
I did, yeah. Yes, I did.
Very cool. We'll definitely listen to it today, no doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm ready to have you on camera, so I didn't have enough time to check it out.
Awesome, my friend. I really am pleased. Thank you for having me, and thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, man. I'm so grateful to you, man. I love you very much. And for everybody who's watched this vlog and this episode of One, if you enjoy the content that we're doing, please subscribe to the channel. We've got a beautiful lineup of folks that are going to be coming on board. We're going to have additional content coming out, and we're definitely going to have additional interviews with Kevin. We're going to hang out with him and watch him play and enjoy his art. But just remember, you know, you're not alone out there. We are one in this global community on this tiny little rock neighborhood we call our planet. There is a way for you to stay connected, to enrich yourself with positive information, positive vibration, positive frequency, to improve your physical health, your mental health, and your inner spiritual well-being, to enjoy your lives as they are present for you each day, even in these circumstances. So stay positive, and until next time, I love you, brother. We are one. Peace, man.
I'll talk to you soon, Mikey.
All right, buddy.